It's not working. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so the next thing on the program was the Blue Danube. I think maybe many of you have heard it. It's a waltz. It was written by Strauss. But I did a little research, and I learned something that I didn't know, and that he originally wrote this, which you've all heard. You've heard this piece a million times. Well, you'll know it when you hear it. That Strauss wrote it actually to lift the spirits of the Austrian people after their defeat by the Prussians in the 7 Weeks' War. Have you heard of the 7 Weeks' War?
Yes.
Have you? Yes, the historian in the crowd. Yes, I haven't. But anyway, so they were depressed, and also there was a depression. There was an economic depression, so they were really sad. So he wrote this, and he used the words to a poem by this guy named Beck, Carl Isidor Beck. And the last line of every stanza is the beautiful Blue Danube. Well, and it was for choir. And it turns out that nobody in the choir liked it, and nobody in the audience liked it. So there was a big flop until he arranged it for orchestra. And he made it waltzy. And the waltz itself was considered, when it first came around, like in the early 19th century, I guess, or maybe even a little earlier, as a decadent thing because people were dancing close to each other, and that was not good. But it got really, really popular towards the end of the 19th century, and people were fascinated by the waltz. So they wanted to see it, they wanted to do it. It was good stuff. So Kevin and I, we watched a lot of videos of people waltzing when we were starting to learn this piece to get in the mood. And so we found it helpful to imagine people waltzing, men in tuxes and ladies in extravagantly beautiful gowns, and they're being lifted by their partners up into the air on the first beat of the measure, 1, 2, 3. And so that's what we have in our minds. Maybe you could think about something like that too. And and it's also really 5 little waltzes strung together. And it starts out in kind of a dreamy way, as though the partners, the dancers, are just coming around and they're seeing each other and they're picking each other as partners, and then they begin to waltz. And it ends that way too, like they just disperse somewhere. So here we go, the Blue Danube.